In life, you will always take the test and then get the lesson. You never get the lesson and get to take the test.
I did not want to have my kids growing up seeing me, looking at me as a failure. Yeah. So I wanted to achieve some of the things in my life so they can look at me as a role model.
I've always known my passion was sewing, but I never thought I could make a living at it.
The workforce of the future definitely needs more skilled craftspeople.
But the question was, would they show up? Would people want these jobs? Would they want to learn this?
How many times are we going to have to go through this? I am tired of it. I just don't understand.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
We've defined high school success too narrowly in the United States. Increasingly, it's become defined solely in terms of performance on academic subjects. As states and school districts around the country have increased the requirements for graduation based on taking more and more college preparatory courses. And so I think we should have a broader definition of competence. What if we had schools where students could demonstrate mastery of cooking or auto mechanics or computer design or something that, that was more applied?
The College for All movement, as laudable as it is, I think has tended to depress the esteem and the social regard in which anything other than a four-year college degree is held.
And we've kind of diminished the value of more traditional vocational areas like welding or auto mechanics or things where there actually are jobs available in our economy.
About two-thirds of the population do not receive four-year college degrees. Most of those adults have jobs. There are lots of things that need to be done in the economy that don't require a four-year college degree. And so we have to get to the point where we're making sure that all of our young people are prepared to be productive members of the workforce. We have to figure out what is it that they need to be able to walk into a business and say, hire me, I can add value.
Well, I was at a time in my life where I hadn't graduated. I was sitting around, job opportunities were limited, couldn't really find anything.
I was so angry when I came here, so it's like I had to find somewhere to put it, and I just put it in cooking.
They come to us because they have families to support. They come to us because they need money and they need skills to go out and get a job.
I like to cook and I like to bake, so I just decided to come here because it give me a step closer to my dream.
I think a lot of the kids who come into the program feel hopelessness. I think it's been a lot of failure in their life, whether it's failure at home or failure in the school system or failure in the streets with their friends. They're looking for hope. They're looking for a reason to continue on.
I had gave up on life at first. Like, I just started settling for what my situations was. And then as I progressed and got older, I went to thinking that's not the best thing to do. Because if I just give up, it's just going to be harder and harder.
I think anyone who comes through this program is going to need a hell of a lot of grit. They're going to need a lot of perseverance. We have many students who are doing more every day to just get by than the majority of us are doing in a week, in a month, in a lifetime. I'm always amazed by their strength.
I personally wanted a new start in life. I wanted to get somewhere. I wanted to go into culinary because it's always been a passion for me.
Probably the largest building block of the tourist economy here is the food and the music. It's very easy to find jobs here in the restaurant industry. Not only is it good here, but it gives the people who come through the program the opportunity to move on to other cities and take these skills with them.
When they come into the program, they hope that they can be John Besh or they can be Elmer Lagasse. The fact is that you start out in the dish room and you work your way up, and that's why when they're here, everybody takes a turn in the dish room. You know, I take a turn in the dish room. You're going to work hard and you're going to be committed and you're going to have work ethic and you're going to earn your way up to the top.
A few times I wanted to give up, but I was like, and I had to think about it, like if you give up, you defeating the whole purpose. So I learned not to give up and keep pushing forward.
They'll take anybody in, but if you look like you don't want to be here, they will tell you to go.
The only requirement to be in the program is that you have to have heart and you have to be ready to change. You have to be willing to accept the teaching. We're going to be honest with you and we're going to tell you when you do something bad or when you need to improve on something.
Here, flip it this way, because it's hard to flip your wrist like that unless you're double jointed.
It's a 3-month program, 6 weeks back of the house, 6 weeks front of the house. But they don't really stop there. They also help these people with life skills, basic reading and arithmetic.
Before they decide they want to get into the internship part of the program, we let them go see a live restaurant. We let them go see what it's like inside a kitchen. And the staff tells them how hard it is and how much work it is, but how rewarding it can be. They learn the point of sale system. They learn how to set a table. You know, most people think that that's kind of a blow-off period, but honestly, it's the period in the program where I see the most growth in our students. Typically, when they come in to Cafe Hope, it's hard to get eye contact. They'll talk to you with their heads down, and they don't look at you when they're talking to you. But by bringing them to the dining room, they're forced to look people in the eyes. They're forced to work on their communication skills.
It was basically homemade ice cream topped with espresso.
I would have to say one of my favorite things, learning to not panic, learning to be like water. And the fact that in the dining room you're having to deal with people more, you're having to talk face-to-face with people, put up a smile, it helped my social skills a lot. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even be able to stand here right now.
And so when they finish the dining room portion of the program, they go to the kitchen. Obviously, they think that's where the most fun's going to be. It's honestly where the most work is. After the first day, a lot of them are holding their backs and their feet hurt, and so it's pretty funny.
While I've been at Cafe Hope, I've learned a lot. I've learned how to actually cut a whole pig and make every piece of meat that you can think of out of a pig. I've learned to be a prep cook, how to chop stuff better than what I used to, how to julienne, which I never knew what that was. I've learned how to make gumbo from scratch, learned how to make sweet potato biscuits, what I've never heard of.
We're trying to teach them to work clean and quick and not waste a lot of time and just kind of take care of your station, clean it up after you're done cooking, make sure that everything that you're sending out is something that you would eat or something that you would send to your mom.
They have direct exposure to a kitchen, being spoken plainly to. They're taught that you need to be able to, read and write and do math and life skills. You have to sometimes change your behavior when you're in front of customers. That's why it's a great program. It's my favorite one to recruit people from.
Well, after I finished my 3-month internship at Cafe Hope, they actually got me on over here, and I've been working here for about 10 months now. And within my first 3 months, I moved up, so I was kind of proud of myself.
I had nothing going for me in life, and when I entered into school, I got more hope. I felt happy. I felt like I could actually get somewhere, and I'm graduating today. I've got so much done.
People are kind of shocked when I say this to them. I could care less if they leave Cafe Hope and they go into the restaurant business. It doesn't matter to me one bit. If they got the life skills and they got the work ethic and they realize what it takes to be successful and they leave here with hope and they leave here with a desire to be on a path to self-sufficiency, that's what matters to us.
So all of us know if you work in a job, what makes you successful? It's not just your ability to do the job. It's showing up on time, it's being positive, it's coming up with creative solutions, it's getting along well with people, knowing how to dress.
In the beginning, we wondered why our students couldn't get the service end of it, why we had such poor service at Cafe Hope. And we sat down and we talked about it as a staff, and we realized that a lot of the kids who come into our program have never been to a restaurant where they were served before. So if they've never seen it, how can you expect them to do it?
I do not believe that everyone has had their chance. I really don't. I don't think that everyone that we deal with is on their second chance or their third chance. Some people say, oh, well, they've already had 2 strikes with the law, they've already had probation officers, they got to go to school, but if you don't give me the tools to succeed, I never had a fighting chance.
Part of what needs to happen for young people is that they need opportunities to see that they are smart, that they are able to achieve, that they are able to really earn awards, and they are able to be the people that they want to be.
80% of what gets achieved is really socialization. It's social skills. It's changing the kids' expectations of themselves, showing them what they can do. 20% are hard skills, like math improvement. But it's the 20% that are really easy to measure, and the 80% are really hard.
I think everyone needs a champion. They need somebody that they believe will be there for them. They need that human connection. And I've found that when we don't build that human connection, they're not likely to keep coming back.
I just knew I needed to change my life around. I couldn't keep getting in trouble.
It's like joining a new family that will be there no matter what.
I'm going to treat them as if they're adults and they're equal to me. And together, we build respect for each other.
Teaching them the carpentry and the life skills is the easy part. What they do after they leave the shop is the challenge.
Back in 1992, Bill Hunley and I started the boat building programs for the Alexandria Seaport Foundation. What we wanted to do was to provide access to the water for the community through building and using boats. And I was thinking more that we'd be teaching boat building classes for adults, who wanted to do it as a hobby. Bill said, we've got to work with the kids. We did a summer youth employment program. And at the end of the summer, the boat was done, the program was done, but boy, the kids weren't done. And so we went and got funding and started a year-round apprenticeship program.
I dropped out when I was 16, but I got my GED. After that, I just started working. And then I stopped working, and then I was getting in trouble. So I started getting into the street life. I ended up getting locked up for 6 months, and then I came to this program.
They come through and apply, and we screen them individually based on their needs. We have an assessment test. Then after that, they have a 5-week trial period where they get paid a $100 stipend a week. If they are here on time every day, do their daily journal requirements, and have an overall good attitude. Really, the goal is to have them work with the mentors, which are the volunteers. And, when the old hair rubs against the new, they really do tend to bond.
I came to a class here, and in the first day of a 5-day class, I saw how the management here was communicating with the kids, the apprentices. And I told them at the end of the 5-day session, how do I volunteer here? This looks terrific.
We try to take the focus off of the differences and focus on the task at hand. And because you're working on a common project and teamwork is a factor, those barriers seem to break down over time.
We're all apprentices here, adults and the kids alike. We're learning different things. Kids are learning tools, they're learning what it's like to be on the job working, having perhaps their first job, and learning how to work with older people as peers. And we're learning from them as well, what their backgrounds are, how they got to where they are.
It's great because you can talk about topics that you normally wouldn't. I mean, touchy subjects, politics. I even asked one of them about advice for my love life, and it's like a close friend that you can trust.
I had one young man talk to me one time, and he says, I don't understand it. Why are all you white guys treating me nice? And I said, 'cause I like you. You have skills, you have abilities, and we're working together to accomplish this feat. Why wouldn't I be nice to you? He had never been in an environment where people were treating him as an equal.
These volunteers have very successful careers. I mean, the guy who ran the team that invented the antenna that's in all our cell phones, you know, comes in and builds here. When the apprentices realize that that type of person believes in them and what they're trying to do with their lives, then that changes the kids' expectation.
Quite frankly, you get more feelings of satisfaction around here than I ever did working for a big corporation.
What we need to do is we need to know an imaginary line here.
When we started the apprentice program, we designed the program to be in the context of a job. That's what we were doing. We were preparing the graduates to be able to go out and go to work.
The height matters because this is on a bevel. As this gets higher, the gap gets wider. Remember that from the last time? So we know that we got to measure right here.
We've had a very good relationship with the Carpenters Union, and we have placed dozens of kids into the union. When they have jobs and they're adding apprentices, they're taking our apprentices. They know the math, they know the construction math, they know the hand tools, the hand power tools. That gives them a step up.
It's not just how to become an employee or just a carpenter. They teach you how to become a leader. They teach you how to set your finance situation. They teach you how to represent yourself in meetings. They teach you how to go for an interview. They teach you how to dress for an interview. They teach you how to look for an interview. I mean, I don't think they miss anything when it comes to this kind of field. I don't think they miss a dot.
I have a job that's coming up building decks. So I've been like doing research on it, looking at videos. I've been getting into it, and I think it's pretty cool because I want to learn how to build stuff. And maybe in the future, like, I could build my family a house.
What I always say is we trust them. They learn to trust us, and then they learn to trust themselves. And once they learn to trust themselves, essentially our work is done.
People nowadays don't work with their hands anymore. If you listen to society, they want you to go to college, they want you to get a degree, they want you to be a doctor, a lawyer, some kind of administrative work.
Almost any job that anybody gets paid for is adding value, and we need to respect and appreciate that.
Every week we're getting hammered by some industry that says, I don't have enough workers. And so we know the problem is the high school kids, the graduates, don't know about these jobs. If your parents didn't work in manufacturing or you're from rural South Dakota, you don't know what a machinist even is. You have no idea whether you like that or not. You don't even know it exists.
For me, there's just nothing better than to see a person succeed, whether it's education, whether it's a job, you know, for people to just have that pride or to know I can go home and feed my kids today.
Making something for me has always been very satisfying.
After you start sewing, wow, I started to like it. I couldn't believe it.
The industry had really left the country over the last couple of decades.
I've been out of work for 11 years. I've had 3 temporary jobs, thinking, okay, maybe that's going to be a toe in the door. Maybe if I can get in the door and prove to somebody that I can show up on time. If you're paying me for 8 hours, you're going to get 8 hours.
I went to Minneapolis Drafting School for electromechanical design and drafting. I did drafting for about 15 years. And then I actually had a little trouble with alcoholism, so I went out of I was out of the loop for quite a while, maybe 15 years.
I first heard about the program through my daily newspaper, Star Tribune, sitting at the kitchen table and going through the paper in the morning with breakfast, and boom, there was this article. You always hear that quote, if you work at what you're passionate about, it's not work. And I've always known my passion was sewing, but I never thought I could make a living at it.
This is not big news because it's been happening for a while now, but production is coming back to the States for a whole host of reasons. It was about 3 years ago at JWM when the fashion industry latched on to American heritage. Latched onto it. So Barney's New York came to us, oh, we love that this is handmade and it's from Minnesota. And it was absolutely a fad at that point. But what happened with that fad was it started to educate the consumer about quality, what we could actually get here in the States. So all of a sudden there was an educating that began. So what began as a fad became a category. And so the demand for cut and sew domestic manufacturing has skyrocketed.
When we wanted to hire new sewers, we were having a very difficult time finding people who knew how to sew. And so out of that was born this group that created the Makers Coalition.
I was at a networking event, and I was a guest with Louise Jones from LifeTrack Resources. And Jen Guarino, the CEO for J.W. Hume at the time, received an award at the Chamber of Commerce, and it was for fastest growing company in St. Paul. And when she stood up and received this award, she said that the one barrier she has is finding skilled people.
Louise from LifeTrack Resources came up and said, I think we should talk about some solutions to that. That led to meeting Deborah from Dunwoody College and Tatiana from LifeTrack Resources.
I said, Jen, if you can bring 9 or 10 employers to the table and tell me that they all have that same need, Dunwoody will write a program for you. And it took off like lightning.
So we brought everybody together. We had a round table. We asked questions. We did surveys. Dunwoody helped us to ask all the right questions, and we proved that there was a need. And that need equated to about 90 immediate openings in the industrial sewing industry.
You just go around and you keep doing that until it looks good, and that's when you do your stitching in the ditch, okay?
So we worked very hard with Deborah to create that curriculum. And LifeTrack Resources helped us to find scholarships for the first students.
A lot of times you're looking at training adults who also have to keep jobs, support families, or there might be low-income individuals with a lot of obstacles. So paying tuition is often really not an option.
The first 2 classes, one was $1,200, the other one was like $400 or $500, and I'm going, oh God, how am I going to pay for this? And I thought, this is just, I have to find a way.
We were lucky to receive a $75,000 grant, which enabled us to provide 15 full scholarships, including books and everything, to the starting class.
After talking with Tatiana, she said, well, I'm going to get verklempt here. She said, I've got 1 scholarship left, and I'm going to give it to you.
And I think she was still really nervous, and she was like, well, what's the amount of the scholarship? And I said, well, it's a full scholarship.
This is like close to $5,000. I lost it. I just, I'm sorry. I was dumbfounded that somebody would believe in me that hadn't even met me.
This is not a design curriculum. You are going to this curriculum because you want to produce, okay? You want to produce product.
You're trying to move the product through a pace at which you say it has to be done in order to make any money.
The first group that graduated in January just completed in June their internship. We have 90% placement with the students who did graduate. Some of the students that came into the program, there's some that are homeless, there's some that have lost their job and haven't been working for several years, some that are retired and have no retirement and need to work still. You hope to guarantee that they'll get placed. So it's very important to know at the end of the tunnel there is a job.
I don't know that I have the creativeness to design things, but I know I'm a great technician when that designer wants something put together. And I'd be happy with that.
Well, what really feels good is just to have a job again. You know, I know I'm older, I'm 61 now, but I don't ever really want to retire. And it feels good to actually just to be a productive member of society again.
We complain a lot about what goes on with the crime, and we complain about drugs. And I think it's just time for everybody to realize that as citizens, we all need to find a way to get involved. No program can make it unless you get involved. And if it's not financially, okay, that's all right. But then come volunteer to be a tutor. Come volunteer to teach somebody math skills. Come volunteer to teach a kid how to read and tell a kid that they're doing a great job and that you're here to support them. So I challenge everybody to be a good student, support everybody that you can.
This program is part of American Graduate. Let's make it happen. A public media initiative made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.